Welcome to episode 92 in our series on duties of the heart by Rabbi Bachya Ibn Pakuda, and we are in the gate of abstinence, which is the 9th gate, and we're in chapter 3. We're about to start chapter 3, and in this episode we are going to describe the subcategories of different types of people who perform abstinence, the higher and lower levels. There seems to be many variations and attitudes towards abstinence, some wrongful and some pious. And Rabbi Bahya is going to describe these categories to us and how we can be warned against false abstinence, or rather a kind of devious way of pretending that you are kind of a disciplined person when really it's really not the case, and also how to tell a pious person from one of those. So Rabbeinu Bahya begins, chapter 3. Into how many classes are those who withdraw in abstinence divided? I say, in response to this question, that abstaining from the world is practiced for one of two reasons. As we have already noted, one is religious, the other secular. This we dealt with in the last chapter, chapter 2. And now he's going to talk about devotees of true abstinence and their categories. So he continues, those who abstain because of religious restraint, the devotees of true abstinence, constitute three classes. The first of these consists of individuals who live in accordance with the highest type of asceticism, in order to resemble the spiritual beings, leaving all that might divert them from God. They flee from inhabited places to the deserts, desolate areas or high mountains, where there is no company or no society. They eat whatever they find, wild plants on the ground and the leaves of the trees. They dress in worn garments and raw wool and take shelter amidst the rocks. Fear of the Creator keeps them from fear of the creatures. Love of the Creator delights them so much that they do not think of the love of human beings. They are content with what they have from God and do not expect anything from man. This class is the one that is furthest removed from the balanced way prescribed by the Torah, because these ascetics renounce the affairs of this world entirely, whereas Torah law does not call for the complete renunciation of society, as we have seen from what it says in Scripture, and he quotes from Yeshayahu 45:18. He did not create it to be an empty void, he created it to be inhabited. The second class consists of individuals who follow the intermediate path of asceticism. They spurn worldly excesses entirely, disciplining themselves to quell their desires for them. So this is very much like we've learnt in the past with Mishnah Torah, Rambam's Mishnah Torah, I think it's Hilchot Dayot, and he talks about the middle way and also how you shouldn't really separate yourself from society. You know, to have a functioning community, you need members, and you need willing members. And so, you know, separating yourself, even for the right reasons, can be detrimental to the ability of a community to thrive. So therefore, not only is it not psychologically correct to separate yourself from other human beings, you should actively be part of a community. And Rabbeinu Bachya just described the two classes of people who separate themselves from society. And now he's going to describe what are the excesses that are to be avoided, that they are disciplining themselves against. So he continues, excesses are of two kinds. Number one, those that are external to man and apart from him. For example, in material possessions, food and drink, apparel and residence. And number two, those that are inherent in man, their resources inseparable from him. For example, in speech and laughter, relaxation and rest, gaping after superfluities, listening to reports about them, and occupying one's imagination with what one does not need. So this, just from personal observation, this is like excesses of the limbs and excesses of the heart, if you follow Rabbi Bahya's earlier comparisons. And he continues, ascetics of this class free themselves of all need for excesses, but in order to provide their bodies with their basic needs, as is their duty, they choose not to leave society. Instead of, in the deserts and mountains, they seek solitude in their homes and seclusion in their dwellings, thus achieving both ends and attaining to both levels. They are closer to the balanced way, the way of the Torah, than is the class mentioned before. The third class consists of individuals who follow the most modest path of asceticism. Inwardly, in their hearts, they are detached from the world. Outwardly, with their bodies, they participate with other people in the building of society, ploughing and sowing, employing their bodies in the service of the Creator, may He be exalted. Having grasped the nature of man's trial in this world, his imprisonment and plight as a stranger in it, his exile to it from the world of the spirits, their souls scorn this world and its material wealth and yearn for the world to come. They look forward to death, but take the necessary precautions against it. They prepare the provisions they will need for their journey, giving thought before their departure to what will bring them to their final place of rest. They take from the world only the bare minimum, and, to the best of their ability, forsake nothing of that which will help them at their latter end, for which purpose they take from it the world provisions and carry them off. This class is closer to the balanced, straight path of the Torah than are the previously mentioned classes. So Rabbi Bahya is describing to us a kind of modern person that is observant, studies Torah, and is an observant Jew or an observant person to morals and ethics, but also works. He wants to build a future for his children, for example. He'll work hard in order that his children should have a head start in life. And so he does involve himself in worldly affairs, but he also considers his place in the scheme of things. His soul knows where it's going, and he will prepare himself for his latter end in the world to come by being a good Jew and performing the right sort of things that will bring him towards the best way, the Derech Yeshua. As Rambam puts it, he sticks to the middle path. And now Rambam is going to describe the converse side of these good people who abstain, and he's going to describe those who abstain for worldly gain. So he continues, those who abstain in order to secure some worldly advantage, who abstain with their limbs but not inside, in their hearts, constitutes three classes. The first of these consists of individuals who restrain themselves from obtaining some of the pleasures they desire, in order to be renowned for their abstinence and lauded for religiosity and piety, which then serve them as powerful means of attaining their ultimate desire. They assume a purpose of religiosity in abstinence, so that people will trust them, entrust their money to them, and reveal their secrets to them. This way they can cause much damage to people. They are the worst amongst all classes of human beings, the furthest from the truth, and most detestable of all. Of their, like Scripture says, their tongue is a sharp arrow. It speaks deceit. With his mouth one speaks peace to his fellow, while inwardly he lays an ambush for him. That's from Yirmiyahu chapter 9 verse 7. The second class consists of individuals who have acquired a certain amount of worldly wealth. observing how quickly money is lost and situations change, and lacking trust in God, they restrict their consumption and curb their desire, claiming that it is abstinence that moves them to do so. But an honest appraisal reveals that what motivates them is none other than their great love for this world, their eagerness to increase their possessions, their worry about becoming poor, and their little satisfaction with what they have obtained of this world. Of such people, the wise one said, and he quotes from Ecclesiastes chapter 6 verse 2, "A man to whom God gives wealth, possessions and honor, who lacks nothing for himself of all that he desires, but the Almighty does not give him the power to enjoy it." So Rabbi Bahya is describing a miser who has money but refuses to spend it or share it for fear that one day he may spend too much and become poor. But God provides money for people so that they may enjoy their life, obviously not to excess, but a normal amount of enjoyment is accepted, and we're here to live our lives. But he's describing one who actually God punishes him by making him a miser. If he doesn't want to spend his money, he will not spend his money, and he won't enjoy his life. And he continues, the third class consists of individuals who have been unable to attain any wealth and are so lacking in worldly resources that they are barely able to subsist. Nevertheless, they opt to maintain their honor and make do with whatever sustenance is available to them rather than be beggars and suffer the degradation of soliciting from other human beings. Hence, they curb their desires by constantly going hungry and by covering themselves with but little clothing, so as to remain independent and not suffer the humiliation of begging from others and being disgraced in this world. All this they ascribe to abstinence from the world. So it's very true. Sometimes, a good segment of society are honest, hard-working people who don't bother others with their issues, just get on with life with a smile on their face and a positive attitude. And this is the type of person that Rabbi Bahya is describing. They don't have enough, but they don't complain to anybody. It's, they're kind of content with their lot, they accept their lot, and they go out and try and live their life in the correct way. And there's no falseness to them whatsoever. And that's the third class, which Rabbi Bahya deems as the greatest of the three. And he concludes with an interesting test. So he continues, when you wish to determine whether a person is sincere in his claim to abstinence, does he undertake it to promote himself religiously or for some worldly advantage? Test him by the conditions essential to perfect abstinence, which I am about to mention. You will then be able to determine, with the help of God, may he be exalted, whether this person's abstinence derives from true inwardness or is merely a deceit. So we're going to stop there, and in the next chapter we are going to discuss the conditions of special abstinence, and I look forward to going through that with you.